Tanguy, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate you being here. I know you're fresh off a flight back from France, last night?
Last night, correct. Yeah.
Wow, how's the time zone change going? Okay?
That's fine. It's a good, the good time zone. Easy. It's easier when I go back to the US.
Yeah.
When I go in France, it's much harder.
Yeah, I know. It's I'm only 2 hours behind from Colorado. Being here in New York, I woke up at 6 this morning, so it was like 4 a.m. my time. So that was not as bad as France, but it was still tough this morning.
Well, I go pretty often to France, and waking up in the morning in France when it's like 3 a.m. for me, it's hard, but yeah.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on. I think, your background, from the prep that we've had, I want to dive a lot more into that. You obviously being from France, you having a background in banking, now you're in the world of tech and partner marketing. I think you bring a really unique perspective. So first, why don't you just give me a background of where you work, what you're doing today, and then I'd love to go back and understand how you got here.
Sure. So I work at HCL Software, which is a software company. I'm the partner marketing director. I manage all marketing for partner, hyperscaler, resellers, GSIs, and all kind of partners. And before this, I was a sales and I was a business partner manager. So I transit to partner marketing when I moved to the US, to the more global role. And now I'm bringing this sales, marketing, and finance, as you wanted to say, background and vision, I would say. It's more like a vision.
Yeah, it's funny because I often hear the sales to marketing approach. And honestly, that's the approach I took. I just never left sales. So my dad gave me the advice. He said, if you want to go into marketing, do sales first, understand that side, and then you'll be a better marketer. I just fell into a role where I get to work with marketers all day long. So I never left the sales side because I get to see all these different marketing programs. And it's fascinating. But you started in finance before you got into sales. So tell me about that. What were you doing in the finance side?
So I've done 3 different jobs in finance. I work for corporate banking. I did project management in IT. So that was something more related to what I'm doing currently. But after that, I was a financial analyst. Corporate coverage for a large French bank, global bank that's very famous. And I did this and I really liked it because it was like an account executive role with a vision of few different clients of the bank. And I had to sell financial tools to the bank. So loans, structured loans, cash management, everything. So it was very broad. I liked it. Very data-driven, like everything about the financial and understanding if it's a good investment to give like millions of euros to someone. And then after this, I changed to another role that was totally different. I was an auditor in another banking group, large group in France. But I didn't really like the fact that I was not close to the customers. The customers were the company. I was checking if, as an auditor, if everything was aligned, compliant.
Yeah.
But it's not what I wanted. I liked better what I was doing before with this customer relationship, and that's how I transit to the tech industry. So yeah, it's different. It's totally a different mindset, I would say.
Yeah.
A way of working as well, a culture. But I guess learning from the bank was very important for me. I learned a lot. It's an industry when you learn a lot, especially when you're young. So that was what I needed. And today I'm still using what I learned here in tech.
Let's dig into that. So what it seems like obviously there's a lot of differences between banking and tech marketing, especially on the partner side. What did you learn on the banking side that's having an impact for you personally as a marketer?
So I would say there are 2 things. First thing is that form is more important than what you say. To me, it's how you say it it's much more important than what you say. You can say silly thing. If you look great and have the charisma to say it, people will believe you. So this is what you learn in bank. You have to fit in the role and the way you do things, it's very important. So when I was doing PowerPoint, for example, in banks, I was doing something that I liked, and then when it was reviewed by my managers, I had to redo it like 4 or 5 times. Because every single small mistake was seen and was important. Like when you do a double space, for example, like we'd say 99% of the people won't see it.
Right.
But you don't care. You have to make sure it's perfect. So these are things that I've learned and today I'm using. And when I see colleagues, when I see customers, partners not doing it, because I've been formatted to see them, this is the only thing I see. And I feel like it's not as good as it should be. And if they treat their presentation, their way of doing like this, maybe they will treat the relationship the same way. So I want everything to be perfect. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is not the compliance, but the processes. The processes are very, very important in bank, not only because it's important in big companies, but also because it's the regulation. If there is a process, it's because most of the time there is a regulation behind, and you have to follow it. So when I arrived in the tech industry, it was a brand new software company, so the processes existed, but were not as important as they are currently in bank. So it was like kind of a shock for me.
Yeah.
Say, oh, I don't have to ask 6 people to do this PowerPoint. I can do it myself. Oh, this project, I can handle it. Oh, perfect. So yeah, that's something that was different. But now that my company is getting more structure, it's a big company, I'm already used to it.
And was that an opportunity for you to kind of help take what you knew about process and instill and build process as you guys scaled and grew?
So yes and no. Yes, of course, because it's more like something that I need to do. But if I loved process that much, I would have stayed in audit. It's the role of processes. Yeah. No, but it helped me to be structured. So even if there was not a process on each person has to do this task, in my head, I knew how I had to do step by step because I was formatted to do it in bank, so I had to do it here. So even if it was not my role to do processes, even if sometimes I was alone on doing project, I had this structure to understand what were the steps to do.
No, I get that entirely. So I went through some executive coaching about 1.5 years ago. And one thing that they helped me work on personally was structures and frameworks for how I approached my work, because I felt like I was in the time running around, like they say in the US, running around like a chicken with its head cut off, right? And I felt like I was reactive to my business. I was just running from deadline to deadline, and they basically said you need a process for how you manage your work. And they helped me just construct frameworks from everything in terms of how I run my one-on-ones to the way I approach projects. And so it wasn't like a process that the company followed, but I had a process for my work. And then I found all of a sudden I was a lot more proactive. I was finding time in my schedule. I was getting things done early. And so I get that because I've seen that in my own personal life now.
And I'm pretty sure you also are proactive on seeing where will be the issue. Yeah. Because that's basically what I'm seeing with the people I'm working. They always tell me I'm organized, which is not true. I'm not an organized person. I'm not telling you to see my room, but I'm not organized. But I'm structured. And even in my head, sometimes I will go here, here, and here. And sometimes people won't understand me. At the end, it's because I know this step by step, and it's to avoid any issue that can happen, because us French, we are risk averse. So we're trying to avoid issue as much as possible.
Well, it's funny. I want to get into the risk stuff a little bit later, so we'll come back to that. But I wanted to ask you about your first point in terms of how we present ourselves and attention to detail. Coming to the U.S. from the France, I don't know if it's a French point of view or more of a banking point of view, do you feel like we're just too casual, especially in tech? I mean, I've seen how casual we are. From your point of view, is everything just too casual? Are we too not detail-oriented, not focused on how we present ourselves in a lot of our work?
I think it depends. It really depends on the rule more than on the culture. Of course, there are culture change. In France, we are much more, I would say, less friendly. When we don't know someone on the street, we won't talk to this person. Yeah. It's like, it's your life, I have my life, don't talk to me, basically. Where in the US, it's very friendly, and so this is how it is. I would say it's more like the role itself, because I'm pretty sure people in finance, in banking industry in the US, they have to be like that. After the fact that you're much more business oriented than we are in France. In general, I'm not saying that it's something that is always the case, but in general, in the US, you will more focus on selling relationship and less in the background. So in France, for example, imagine I have a target of 3 million and I have 10 customers. What I will do is I would say, okay, in general, 30% of people will buy, so I will give one deal of 1 million to each of them, or try to, and if it works, then I have 3 of them that will buy, 30%, I hit my target. But I won't have 90% of them that will buy, obviously, so I will not overachieve. In parallel, I will never have 0% that will not buy, so I will still be very close to my target. In the US, I feel more like you still have these 10 customers, and you know that you have 3 million to do, but your target is not 3 million, it's much more. So we say, okay, let's try to do 3 million to the 10 of them, instead of doing 1, 1, 1. So maybe you'll have only 10% that will buy, but this 10% make you hit your target. But if you have 30% like I have, you will overachieve. So you will more think about business, and us will try to avoid the risk in this part. So this is something that is more, I would say, something that I've seen in the US. But the structure itself is because you focus on trying to sell more and more and more and do business. This PowerPoint, if it's perfect, it's fine. If it's not perfect, you don't really care, because the relationship will be more important. Where us in France, we will be very focused on making sure that you want to buy my product because my product is the best. So it's different.
Now, this might seem like a simple question, but it seems incredibly powerful if you can bring both together, right? If you can be incredibly focused, detail-oriented, presentable, and the relationship.
That's also, I guess, why people in sales and tech from France sometimes can become very successful in the US, because we learn a lot from you. I mean, in the US, you do business like we would love to do. But yes, when you can learn from different culture and try to adapt both, this is the base of
everyone. It's funny from the sales point of view in the U.S. Especially in my industry where we sell to tech marketers like yourself. A lot of the tech marketers come across very casual, especially in their appearance, right? I mean, I lived in California, right? Silicon Valley. Everyone's wearing tech T-shirts and jeans, right? And so, but I've seen a lot of sales reps kind of fall into that trap where, they're dressing down to the buyers. And, they'll go into a multi-million-dollar meeting looking like they're, on the weekend hanging out, playing Frisbee with their friends and drinking beers, right? And I get it. A lot of sales is like you're trying to emulate, the people you're selling to. But I've just always had this perception of like, I'm asking somebody to spend millions with me. I want to at least look like the part of someone they want to give millions of dollars to, right? And that's not just how you look, but that's the presentation, the materials, the email communication. I mean, it trickles down into everything. So.
Yeah, it's what I was saying. The way you say it is more important than what you say. So if I want to spend 1 million, you can have the best shirt ever, or the best flip-flops. I'm like, okay, you couldn't dress for me to spend you 1 million. What will you do if I have an issue with your software?
Exactly.
So I always think it's always better to overdress, not like always suit, but just a shirt, a pants will always be good. So that's what I'm trying to do when I have meeting with customers, to not overdress, but at least be something that we can trust. And this is close, this is presentation. I would say it's also the way of speaking, but I'm French, so my English is not perfect, but when I speak French, I try to be more formal and trustful. someone that we could trust.
Yeah.
Because at the end, they run their business with my software.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, I think we're always selling, whether that's, trying to sell a partner and why they should go to market with us, trying to sell the value of our programs internally up to executive management, right? And if you can combine the relationship side of things with, attention to detail, being presentable, I would rather exceed expectations than come in under, right?
Yeah, I mean, it will never be perfect, but the closer you get to it, the better it is.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear about some of the challenges now transitioning from finance into the marketing tech side of things. So obviously you brought some skills with you that helped you exceed. There must have been some challenges, especially moving to the US or moving into marketing tech. What are some of the challenges that you came up with in this transition?
So first of all, I didn't do finance to marketing directly. I did sales, which helped me for 3 years to accommodate and understand the tech. I mean, if I went from finance to marketing in tech, I would have been lost. That's 100% for sure. There are things that obviously I'm still not used to. For example, I don't have a marketing background. When we ask me about what do you think about this, I'm not doing a SWOT, I'm not doing like the personal analysis and everything. This is things that marketers are doing that I should be doing, but I've not been trained to do this. So this, I guess, is one of the challenges. Also, and I think the good thing is I'm young and I think a bit out of the box, but in finance, you have to follow the process, as I was telling you, and you cannot just go anywhere else. It's the process and you have to do it. In marketing, you have to think ahead. It's like, okay, if we keep doing what we were doing in the past 5-10 years, we will go nowhere. 5 years ago, nobody was on TikTok. 10 years ago, not much people were on LinkedIn. So it's very important to think differently and try to always be up to date of what are the new trends. And this, I've not learned this from my background. I'm doing it on my day-to-day, trying to always stay on social media, trying to always stay on what are the trends, AI, videos, content. So this is where I have some challenges. But at the end, marketing for me, it's like sales. It's just helping sales to do their job. So it's complicated. It's a challenge, but I like challenges. So I'm trying to learn every day to improve.
No, it's good because I've seen some of the most successful marketers out there are ones that really understand the sales side of things. And so it doesn't mean you have to come from a sales background, but you do need to understand those challenges and opportunities from the sales side, I think, to be a successful marketer.
What I always try to do is not thinking about the company. I mean, my company, I know what they want. They want to make money, like every company in the world. But I try to not think about my company, what they want. I try to think what the customer or the prospect or the potential buyer will want. I'm a CIO. What do I want to see? Do I want to see a video of 5-10 minutes explaining the value of a product? Or do I want to see like a 30-second video telling me, hey, my competitors using this software improved their sales by X percentage? Maybe they want this. So that's how I'm trying to approach marketing. Okay, there will always be the product team, the sales team, the technical people telling, yeah, but see, you need to sell this good feature of the product. But at the end, to me, company and people, they don't buy features. They buy a result. Right. So I'm just trying to focus more on this and reducing the complexity of the software to just one small solution. So that's what I'm trying to do. But sometimes I will talk to very technical person that what they want is like this 10-minute video.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have because I don't do it.
Yeah.
But that's how I'm trying to approach this. And I guess it's more like a sales perspective because when we are sales, what I've seen is There is what the product team will tell you why the product is good. There is why the sales team is what the sales team is selling, and there is why the customer bought it. And at the end, we can tell you, look, it has the best features. And the sales will tell you, it's perfect for your business, you will increase your revenue. But at the end, maybe the customer will say, hey, I bought this product because I'm thinking that if I buy it, my career won't be at risk. And I will be able to say, hey, I bought this tool for the company. But at the end, it's just a career thing for them. So we don't know. And so that's something we need to understand. And in marketing is understanding all the reason of buying and not so much what the product does.
So I want to ask you some personal questions here. I always do a little rapid fire round. I think it's fun, and this show is just as much about like you personally as professionally. So I got a couple quick questions for you. They're a little random here. Favorite wine? Is it red wine, white wine, champagne?
Champagne.
Champagne, all right.
Yeah.
Side question. Is there really champagne in the US or is it more sparkling wine? Are we allowed to call it champagne?
So if it's not made from champagne, it's not champagne.
I expected that answer.
That's it. There is no other answer. It's just champagne is one part of France, and if it's not this, it's not champagne.
That's what I thought. All right. Favorite American junk food?
I would say I like Burger King, but only in the US.
Yeah?
McDonald's is only in France.
Oh, okay. All right. Top place that you want to visit in the US that you haven't visited yet?
I think I have not been there yet. Oh, Washington.
Washington, D.C. or Washington
DC,
State? Yeah,
DC.
okay.
I have not been
If
there.
you like history, that's a great place to go. I heard a rumor, and I hope it's true, that you're a Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Taylor Swift song?
I would say You Belong With Me because it's thanks to this song that I won tickets to the concert in the US.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I made a video clip of it. I remade the clip.
For TikTok?
No, for my company.
It
was a contest.
So I'm throwing this one on here because I just found out right before we started recording that you have 50,000 followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
So what is the key to your success on TikTok?
I would say authenticity, myself, and I give advice on how to grow your career, how to find a job, how to answer interview questions, and how to negotiate your salary. And I feel like this is a very niche topic that not many people present and do. So that's why I guess I'm successful there. And also it's because everybody needs it. At one point, you will look for a job or you will negotiate. So that's guess why it's working.
Did it take you a long time to scale in terms of getting those followers, or did you see success right away?
No, it takes you have to be constant.
Yeah.
You're consistent. You have to do it every. Well, now that I'm in the US, I do it less. I'm more focusing on partnership and conferences on this. But when I was in France, I had to do at least 1 or 2 videos per week. And being a content creator, many people will tell you, hey, it's very easy. I know how to post on Instagram. Say, yes, you know, but try to post every day for a year, and then we'll discuss.
Wow.
It's totally different. So I cannot do it. I cannot post every day for a year.
Yeah.
But I'm very impressed on those who can do this.
Yeah.
And that's how you succeed, is just consistent.
I think there's definitely an opportunity for businesses out there, especially in the marketing side with TikTok. But I think what you said is true, though. It's authenticity. It's being genuine. And I think businesses have to figure that out, right? Because if you just put business content on TikTok and it's not authentic, it's not going to work well.
It's not going to work. We want to me, each social media has its purpose. Facebook is family. Instagram is more friend and look, I'm perfect. LinkedIn is more, look, I have the best career. Hey, you want to be me?
Yeah.
And TikTok is being itself. And maybe you will look stupid. Maybe you will do a video when you dance. Maybe you will present something or teach something, because it's what's getting bigger on TikTok. And this is what works. But when I go on TikTok, I don't want to see anything about companies, what they do. Yeah. I want to see what's the culture of the company, what employees do. And then, if I see that and I like it, I may think of buying. So that's different.
Interesting. No, that's good advice. So, I mean, just thinking from a marketer's standpoint, it's almost like you have to find that authentic influencer within the company that can have that personal conversation and be the face, right? So I think that's something companies have to really think through.
There are companies that do it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are very, I know LVMH is doing very good on this, and especially it's pretty hard for them because it's a luxury brand. But yeah, it's hard, but I mean, to me, it should be a team dedicated to it, like at least 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so I want to get back to partner marketing a little bit, just in terms of, your approach in terms of how you prioritize, because I think the partner marketing shoes, there's so many things to do, right? You have multiple partners, you might have a team, lots of different priorities. Like, how do you just prioritize that job to be successful?
So first, I prioritize based on revenue. What will be the smallest investment that will give me the biggest return on investment? So maybe investing 200,000 somewhere and getting only 300,000 of revenue is not as good as investing 10 times $10,000 and getting at the end $500,000. So maybe I should invest on this 10 activity instead of one big. So that's the first thing, is looking at the data. What is the expected return on investment? What history is telling me, meaning what did we do last year and the previous year? Something that I really hate is doing because we did it last year. Oh, but we did it last year, I want to redo it. No, I don't care. You could have done it like for 20 years.
Yeah.
I was not there. It's not going to work. So this is what I really want, is do what I think it's important, what will be the good return on investment, and then also think about the trends. Maybe last year this was a good investment, but maybe this year it's not anymore. So we need to rethink every time the plan and focusing on the partner that will bring us the most revenue.
So when you look ahead, not necessarily behind, but looking ahead, trying new things, what's your personal approach to risk? Because I imagine, there's obviously different risk tolerances from banking to tech marketing, and probably different risk tolerances from France to the US. What's your personal approach to risk, and how does that factor into how you plan?
So it really depends on the activity. I would say in marketing, I take risk. So as I was telling you earlier, I studied in French and in the US, so I've kind of see both. In the US, you fail a test, you can redo it. I had a B, great, I will redo it, and I will have a B plus or A, I'd say. In France, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You fail, and good luck to make it at the end. Also, in France, we are not like as positive as in the US, meaning that not everything is perfect. In France, no, nothing is perfect. We always focus on what is not good, what can be improved. So that's a cultural thing that made us take risk. Because if you don't take risk, you will never succeed. In marketing, I'm doing the same. I'm like, and this year it happened, I'd say a few times. Many times when I say, okay, you don't want to do it, it's fine. I will be the owner. And if there is any issue, it's going to be on me. But I'm accountable. I want to do it. And sometimes it's just a trade show, or I want to do something different that nobody has thought about it. And they say, no, Tanguy, we have never done it. I don't care. I'm going to try. And sometimes it's just taking the risk of hoping someone will cancel or an event that we have overbooked. But these are kind of risks that I take. Lucky, right now, no bad decision. But I know that one day it will happen. But I guess it's a cultural thing, and if you don't take risk, you will go nowhere. So at the end, I'm thinking that it's better to do things and apologize than just regret of not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a running theme on this show, because, I mean, obviously I get people on this show that have advanced pretty far in their careers. A lot of them have taken risks, right? They say yes to opportunities when they present themselves, and they kind of put themselves out there a little bit. But I think that's necessary to succeed, whether that's in programs or in your career.
And also, if you don't, I mean, even failing, to me, it's learning, because at least you know that you won't have to do it again. So I'm not scared of taking risk. Of course, everything is like calculated. I'm not going to take risk on crazy things. It's only like, let's say, 50 to 30% of the project itself. I won't put the 100% of the project at risk. That's the other thing I was telling you earlier. My target is 3 million. Imagine I will make it between 2 and 4 million. That is going to be work. So I won't put a big risk there, but there are risks that needs to be taken to see how it works.
From your perspective, coming to America and working in our world, in the business world, do you feel like we're taking enough risks or not enough risks? What's your outside perspective in terms of our risk tolerance in marketing?
I would say that in business you take risk, but in role and employee, when they work in project, you don't.
Yeah.
And I guess it's also due to the US and the fact that in France we won't be laid off that easy. So if it's if it's an issue, it's fine. I'm not going to be fired. So in the US, when there is a process, I've seen that people really want to follow it, because if they don't follow it or if there is an issue, it's on them. But if they follow the process and there is an issue, it's not my fault. I follow the process.
Yeah.
So here, I guess you take less risk that you should. But on business, no, because at the end, it's not a process issue. Your job is not at risk. There, you go and you run, where we will not.
Interesting. Yeah, the consequences definitely matter. I wanted to ask you said something around data, and obviously, with your background being in banking and finance, analytics is probably a big part of that. How is that translated into your marketing role? I imagine you pay really close attention to the analytics and results of the program. Can you talk a little bit about that and the impact that banking's had in terms of how you look at the results of marketing programs?
So, first thing is, I trust my data. I've seen so many people sending me Excel, sending me numbers that are wrong, that I always prefer to have someone sending me their raw data and me making the calculation of making sure it's the correct number. Because at the end, it's me who present the number. So if the number that was given to me is wrong, it's my fault. Yeah. So I always prefer to do it. And with the audit experience, Excel is not so much a challenge for me anymore. So that's the good thing. After data, it's what I was telling you. It's about ROI, about what is the percentage of success. Should I take the risk or not? As I told you, I like risk, but not too much. So I'm trying to calculate what's the worst. If I fail, what are the consequences? Am I investing $100,000 in something that will fail and then I'm losing $100,000, or am I just investing $10,000 and if I fail, it's fine. It's not so much a problem. So this is where I'm doing, and the decision I take are really based on this. Is what is the risk compared to the opportunity? If I take too much risk and the opportunity is very small, even if it's, let's say you invest $100,000 and you expect to get 1 million, you can expect $900,000 of good money revenue. But at the end, if you only have 10% chance of success, I would maybe invest only 50,000 and expect 500,000. It's less, but at the end, I may have like 70% of chance of success. Yeah. So this is really how I take the data, trying to calculate what is the chance and the probability of success. And from that, take decision on what activity I do.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like that's a very finance way of looking at things that I think is missing from a lot of marketing perspective, and that's factoring risk into the opportunity equation, right? So we often look at the upside and the ROI, but we're not factoring in also the potential risk. and having that be a variable in how much we invest in. And I think that's I see that all the time on the finance side, not as much on the marketing side.
Yeah, so my colleagues through my career, what I've seen is they always take how much you invest and what is the expected return on investment. But they don't tell you if this expected return on investment is like 10% succeeds, 30%, 50%, and 70%.
Right.
And this is very important because this expected return on investment most of the time comes from sales, and they put whatever they want here.
Yeah.
So if they say, oh, please send me $5,000 for this activity, I will give you $5 million. Yeah, if you're lucky, you will find this. But tell me the chance of getting this. And basically put in some probability behind on, okay, you say 5 million, but what's the probability behind? 1 out of a million?
Yeah.
This case, maybe I don't want. So this is what I'm trying to add to the marketing. It takes time, obviously, because it's a big. I mean, you have to take data out of it and say what the sales team think, what you think, and what the market says, and from that you can try to find the probability of success. But I mean, it's always a probability. Maybe you have 1% chance, and maybe you'll hit it, and you get the 5 million.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting perspective for marketers to consider. You also said, I trust my data. And that just got me thinking of myself, because I just started thinking about all the times where I didn't necessarily trust my data. And in hindsight, I made the wrong decision. And I tried to rationalize it or provide excuses. And I really should have trusted my data to begin with.
So there are two things behind I trust my data. First one, as I said, my data.
Yeah.
So you give me the raw data, and I do my calculation, and I get my final data telling me yes or no. This is mine. The second is, yes, you need to trust it, but after, there is also what you think. If we think back to the social media, 20 years ago, who would have thought what Meta is being now? 10 years ago, who knew TikTok? Nobody. 5 years ago, did they expect to be that big? Yeah. No. So you also need to think of what the market is telling you and add it. But yeah, you're right. The data is telling you what you should do, and it's giving you an idea. And what we used to say in finance is, I don't exactly know the translation in English, but basically what it says is, history doesn't tell you future. Mm-hmm. So you can have a good growth in the past history, but it's not because it grew for 20 years that it will grow tomorrow. Yeah. So you have to learn from the past, but also sometimes you have to say, hey, there was a change, like COVID. Many things changed after COVID, but who knew? Nobody knew. So yes, data is important. When I said my data is mine, my calculation, not trusting someone giving me this, yeah, without me checking what they did behind. And after it's like, okay, let's use it or not. But at least when I say I don't want to trust it, I put it to get it approved, and I say, okay, this is what it says. This is why I don't trust it. It's not that I don't trust it, I don't follow it. But I always show the real behind.
No, it's great perspective. And it's funny, on the way here, my Uber driver was sharing all his fishing pictures from this weekend. He went out fishing. Not while he was driving at red lights. But he said, it's something interesting. He was fishing for 4 hours, nothing happened. And then, so you're looking at the data like, okay, this is just not working. The tide changed, and all of a sudden they caught 18 fish, right? So it's just interesting, like, you can't, you got to look at the data, but also know that conditions change, and that might change the results as well. So, well, Tanguy, this has been really fascinating. I think your cultural background and then your career background has really shaped your unique perspective on marketing, and I've seen that a lot on this show. Thank you for sharing. I just have one last question for you, and this could be personal advice, professional advice, but what advice do you want to leave people with?
I would say fake it until you make it. And that's something that when I used to say it, and also when I ask about career growth, and when I do career growth advice on TikTok, yeah, people, they just, it shocked them, and they're like, why do you say this? As I told you, I don't come from marketing. Yeah. I come from finance. I don't have this SWOT and things analysis, but one day I said, hey, I want to become marketing. I know that I can do it because I've learned myself the basics of doing it, and I have enough knowledge. And when I told my manager, and he said, hey, I might have something for you, I said, yeah, I guess I can do it. I didn't know if I could do it, but finally here I'm a year and a half after. I would say I'm pretty successful on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's just because I've learned, I tried, and I did not do like the thing that, I don't know. Let's say, okay, I don't know. Let's try, and we'll see what happens. And I tried. So when you don't know something, just pretend you know, learn. Don't say you don't know, just learn, and then you will finish to know.
That might be my most favorite advice to date. I've done 22 of these shows. I'm doing it. So I've never hosted a show. I've never done professional interviews, and I just jumped in, took a risk, and started doing it, and I had to fake it. and I've been kind of learning along the way, and I think I'm doing okay. I don't know.
And I'm pretty sure
the audience will let me know, but
I'm pretty sure now people are going back to you and say, hey, can you please give me your advice? How did you do it? I wish I could do it. Just start and you will learn.
Yeah.
I do the same when I talk about career growth and on social media, how you have to post, and they say, yeah, but I don't have the experience. I don't have. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Just pretend, and then you will see people will come, and then it will happen, and you will be the expert at the end.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's great advice. Well, here's cheers to fake it till you make it.
Yep.
Tanguy, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.